Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Short descriptive summary of events. Return to a previous location or condition. The painting resumed its old condition when we restored it. Take up or begin anew. We resumed the negotiations. Give a summary of. A summary of your academic and work history. Assume anew. Resume a title. Short descriptive summary of events. A brief literary description. Make a sketch of. Sketch the building. Preliminary drawing for later elaboration. A humorous or satirical drawing published in a newspaper or magazine. Describe roughly or briefly or give the main points or summary of. Sketch the outline of the book. Short descriptive summary of events. The act of looking or seeing or observing. His survey of the battlefield was limited. Consider in a comprehensive way. Hold a review of troops. A detailed critical inspection. Keep under surveillance. Look over carefully or inspect. He surveyed his new classmates. Make a survey of, for statistical purposes. Plot a map of, land. Take up a liquid or a gas either by adsorption or by absorption. Begin work or acting in a certain capacity, office or job. Adopt. Take up new ideas. Return to a previous location or condition. Take up and practice as one's own. Accept. Take out or up with or as if with a scoop. Take in, also metaphorically. Take up as if with a sponge. Occupy or take on. Pursue or resume. Take up a matter for consideration. Take up time or space. Take up the slack. Turn one's interest to. Take up or begin anew. Start an engine again, for example. Take up or begin anew. Start an engine again, for example. Determine the sum of. Be a summary of. Give a summary of. Be a summary of. Give a summary of. Be a summary of. The abstract summarizes the main ideas in the paper. Give a summary of. I will now summarize. A summary of your academic and work history. A summary of your academic and work history. Being 5 more than 100. A brief statement that presents the main points in a concise form. Briefly giving the gist of something. A summary formulation of a wide-ranging subject. A brief statement that presents the main points in a concise form. He gave a summary of the conclusions. Performed speedily and without formality. A summary execution. Lay aside, abandon, or leave for another. The car changed lanes. Cause to change, make different, cause a transformation. The discussion has changed my thinking about the issue. Exchange or replace with another, usually of the same kind or category. He changed his name. An event that occurs when something passes from one state or phase to another. The change was intended to increase sales. Become different in some particular way, without permanently losing one's or its former characteristics or essence. Her mood changes in accordance with the weather. Give to, and receive from, one another. Would you change places with me? Become deeper in tone. His voice began to change when he was 12 years old. Change from one vehicle or transportation line to another. She changed in Chicago on her way to the East Coast. A difference that is usually pleasant. It is a refreshing change to meet a woman mechanic. A different or fresh set of clothes. She brought a change in her overnight bag. A relational difference between states, especially between states before and after some event. He attributed the change to their marriage. A thing that is different. He inspected several changes before selecting one. Change clothes. Put on different clothes. Coins of small denomination regarded collectively. He had a pocketful of change. Money received in return for its equivalent in a larger denomination or a different currency. He got change for a 20 and used it to pay the taxi driver. Remove or replace the coverings of. Father had to learn how to change the baby. The action of changing something. The change of government had no impact on the economy. The balance of money received when the amount you tender is greater than the amount due. I paid with a 20 and pocketed the change. The result of alteration or modification. There were marked changes in the lining of the lungs. Undergo a change. Become different in essence, losing one's or its original nature. She changed completely as she grew older. Maintain in safety from injury, harm, or danger. Fruit preserved by cooking with sugar. Keep in safety and protect from harm, decay, loss, or destruction. We preserve these archaeological findings. Keep or maintain in unaltered condition. Cause to remain or last. Preserve the peace in the family. Prevent food from rotting. Preserved meats. To keep up and reserve for personal or special use. A domain that seems to be specially reserved for someone. Medicine is no longer a male preserve. A reservation where animals are protected. Keep undisturbed for personal or private use for hunting, shooting, or fishing. Preserve the forest and the lakes. Continue a certain state, condition, or activity. We continued to work into the night. Span an interval of distance, space or time. The archipelago continues for another 500 miles. Continue talking. I know it's hard, he continued, but there is no choice. Keep or maintain in unaltered condition. Cause to remain or last. Continue the family tradition. Continue in a place, position, or situation. She continued as deputy mayor for another year. Do something repeatedly and showing no intention to stop. We continued our research into the cause of the illness. Move ahead. Travel onward in time or space. She continued in the direction of the hills. Allow to remain in a place or position or maintain a property or feature. We cannot continue several servants any longer. Continue after an interruption. The demonstration continued after a break for lunch. Exist over a prolonged period of time. The bad weather continued for 2 more weeks. Direct the course of. Manage or control. Continue talking. Carry on. Pretend we are not in the room. Misbehave badly. Act in a silly or improper way. Keep or maintain in unaltered condition. Cause to remain or last. Press, drive, or impel someone to action or completion of an action. Be relevant to. Have an effect upon. Keep or maintain in unaltered condition. Cause to remain or last. Support against an opponent. Keep or maintain in unaltered condition. Cause to remain or last. Stand up for. Stick up for. Of causes, principles, or ideals. To say, state, or perform again. To say, state, or perform again. Run or be performed again. The function iterates. Render verbally. Retell a story. Make into fiction. To say, state, or perform again. To say, state, or perform again. To say, state, or perform again. Make or do or perform again. Repeat an earlier theme of a composition. Do over. To say again or imitate. An event that repeats. The events today were a repeat of yesterday's. Happen or occur again. To say, state, or perform again. Make a pretense of. She assumed indifference, even though she was seething with anger. Put clothing on one's body. The queen assumed the stately robes. Take on as one's own the expenses or debts of another person. Seize and take control without authority and possibly with force. Take as one's right or possession. He assumed to himself the right to fill all positions in the town. Take on a certain form, attribute, or aspect. She assumed strange manners. Take on titles, offices, duties, responsibilities. When will the new president assume office? Occupy or take on. He assumes the lotus position. Take to be the case or to be true, except without verification or proof. I assume his train was late. Take up someone's soul into heaven. This is the day when Mary was assumed into heaven. Take up, as of debts or payments. Free someone temporarily from his or her obligations. Take over ownership of corporations and companies. Do over. Take up and practice as one's own. Take on as one's own the expenses or debts of another person. Seize and take control without authority and possibly with force. Take as one's right or possession. Take on titles, offices, duties, responsibilities. Contend against an opponent in a sport, game, or battle. Admit into a group or community. Take on a certain form, attribute, or aspect. Take on titles, offices, duties, responsibilities. Accept as a challenge. Put into dramatic form. Adopt a book for a screenplay. Take into one's family. They adopted 2 children from Nicaragua. Choose and follow, as of theories, ideas, policies, strategies or plans. Take up and practice as one's own. Take on a certain form, attribute, or aspect. He adopted an air of superiority. Take on titles, offices, duties, responsibilities. Take up the cause, ideology, practice, method, of someone and use it as one's own. They adopted the Jewish faith. A temporally organized plan for matters to be attended to. Law. The calendar of a court. The list of cases to be tried or a summary of the court's activities. Make a summary or abstract of a legal document and inscribe it in a list. Place on the docket for legal action. Only 5 of the 120 cases docketed were tried. Not representing or imitating external reality or the objects of nature. A large abstract painting. A sketchy summary of the main points of an argument or theory. Make off with belongings of others. A concept or idea not associated with any specific instance. He loved her only in the abstract, not in person. Consider a concept without thinking of a specific example. Consider abstractly or theoretically. Consider apart from a particular case or instance. Let's abstract away from this particular example. Dealing with a subject in the abstract without practical purpose or intention. Abstract reasoning. Existing only in the mind, separated from embodiment. Abstract words like truth and justice. Give an abstract of.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.